that inspires. Some people say the metaverse will only be virtual, but one day this farmer will use augmented reality to help ensure the best yield.
Okay, here we are in sunny Boca Raton. There we go. Now you can see. Oh boy, I've uncovered. I don't know if you guys remember the days when Marilyn was running up into the into the stadium with a remote microphone. There it is. There you go. Sennheiser. Small display right there, which is barely visible to the human eye, but you set it up once in a little while. I have it on. The frequency.
Enjoy your wealth instead of worrying about it. Book your free meeting today at creativeplanning.com. Creative Planning, a richer way to wealth.
Frequency is 502.1 megahertz. 502.1 megahertz. When you go on field in so here's the receiver. This thing transmits to this thing. It's got a red and green light on, which is good, because that means it's got it's connected, and there is an RF radio frequency connection between the transmitter, which is this, which is attached to the microphone, making it wireless. And this is connected, to, there you can see the connection. Yeah. So that just sits here. Now, when we were at FAU Stadium, this would be connected to this, with this thing right here. There we go. A regular cold shoe mount, which will go on the top of the camera. And then there's a wire that goes through here. So the audio input of the camera. So, I'd be videoing. It was really quite cool. And Marilyn's running her up in the stadium. This thing has a range of 100 meters. So she could be all the way at the other end of the football stadium, and we would be in range, radio frequency range, and we wouldn't lose any audio. This is exactly what the networks use. I got Energizer batteries in there. I prefer to, Sennheiser has a optional, kit you can buy to put in nickel cadmium or lithium ion battery pack, which I don't. I'd rather have these lithium ion batteries, these lithium Energizer batteries, because they're 700% more powerful and duration to a standard AA battery. So they're really strong, and they'll last, probably 60 hours of transmission time, which is the whole season, pretty much. Anyway, so I dusted this off, and I made sure that it's synced. This is the receiver, and it's connected to the, in this particular situation, since I don't have it on camera, I have it connected to the line input on my soundboard here, and see how it goes up and then it goes way up. There we go. So I have it right about there, and I'm just going to go distance like this, and so now I'm going to take off these headphones. I have those on just to make sure the signal is happening. And now I'm going to walk, take a short walk out on the balcony. And,
still some road hazards out there. Bill, back to you. Thank you, gentlemen. Posted throughout the day. Thank you. And moving southwest, let's go to Fox Weather's Robert Ray in hard-hit Fort Myers, Florida. Robert, I know we talked to you last hour, and now you're up on one of those big boats that basically got pushed all the way up onto land. Indeed, Dana. And I just talked to the yacht broker who had just sold this boat for about $350,000, he said, and the boat next to it was contingent for $650,000. It is a mess with the logistics and insurance and what's going to ensue with these deals and brokers, that all these things that they have done here. But you see the mess behind me, all these boats, and these boats are on roadsides all the way down to the barrier island of Fort Myers Beach, which we know search and rescue is going on actively there right now, devastated. Fort Myers Beach, Sanibel, Pine Island, and as Governor Ron DeSantis said in a press conference last hour, this area essentially is ground zero for Hurricane Ian in the state of Florida. We will continue to monitor this as confirmed 21 dead. We hear choppers above and folks really just starting to take debris from their homes and put them to the side in compartments, essentially, as the officials have told them to do. In the meantime, you see behind me, this is what people are seeing and dealing with, and business is super affected right now. The clearing has begun. You have to start somewhere, and they're starting there today. Thank you so much, Robert. So also in that area where Robert's been reporting, Fort Myers, Florida, Lee County, Lee health officials evacuating hundreds of patients and staff members since the storm made landfall. The facility's dealing with power outages and critical disruptions to the water supply. That can be an ongoing matter. Larry Antonucci is the president and CEO of Lee Health. So thank you for your time. How can we help? How can we get the word out there? And what do you think? Well, thank you, Bill. As you know, we've been hit with a devastating storm, and our health system supplies 95% of the hospital care in this community of over 700,000. And although our facilities have withheld well in the storm, the challenge we're facing now is in infrastructure. Two of our hospitals have no running water, and as a result, we're having to evacuate them. Our first phase is going to be 400 patients. We began that process last night. So it's a very challenging situation. We certainly cannot run a hospital without running water. Not only do we utilize water for routine care and dialysis, etc., it also operates our chillers, our air conditioning units, and of course our fire suppression. So as a result, we've done a lot of jerry-rigging, frankly, and been able to pull water out of lakes and ponds to be able to drive the coolers, but that still doesn't give us an adequate water supply for patient care. So we've been working with our local agencies, our Agency for Healthcare Administration, to begin the evacuation process. And until we know we have a stable water supply to our hospitals, we simply cannot operate them safely. We had the Army Corps of Engineers on last hour, and he said that that's their number one priority is trying to figure out this water situation for you in Lee County. Maybe just a question then about the staff that you have, because I imagine they've probably been working for several days straight with very little sleep and no running water. Yeah, the staff challenges are very real. In an incident like this, we usually have two teams, a Team A and a Team B. We bring Team A in, and they work 12-hour shifts each until the conditions are safe for Team B to come in, and we brought Team B in yesterday. One of the challenges we've had was was the contacting our TV members, because we're basically off the grid here. Cell service is spotty, if at all. Cable service, internet. So it's been a real challenge. So we've had to keep a lot of Team A members in our facilities, and they're doing incredible work. They're doing heroic work, and I just couldn't be more proud of the staff and the work they're doing under these incredible conditions, because they're worried about their own families and their own homes.
Sure. Hang tough. Sir, thank you for your time. Larry Antonocci, Lee Health President and CEO. Thank you, sir.
And Fox Corporation has donated $1 million to the American Red Cross to support Hurricane Ian relief efforts. The Red Cross is on the ground providing aid and resources, including shelter, meals, medical supplies, and more for people who have been impacted by the storm. Fox is also double matching employee donations to Red Cross hurricane relief efforts, including Ian and Fiona. Our thoughts are with our Tampa and Orlando station teams and other Fox employees in the area and everyone affected by the storm. Thank you to all our Fox Weather, Fox News Channel, and Fox TV station teams across the country who are covering this disaster. You are appreciated.
Amen to that. Meanwhile, we've got move up the coast here. This is Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, Category 1 storm. It's the Myrtle Beach offshore. The Pier 14 restaurant is pretty much a whiteout in the distance. We'll let you know how Ian goes, because the storm is still alive and cooking in a significant way. Break here, back in a moment as our live coverage continues.
Are you a veteran, own a home, and need cash? You need to know about the VA Cash Out Loan from New Day USA. It's called the New Day 100 because it lets veterans borrow up to 100% of their home's value, not just 80% like some typical loans. That extra cash can make a huge difference in these times of skyrocketing prices. Here's more good news. Home values have skyrocketed too. That means even more cash. Take out an average of $60,000 to pay down your high-rate credit card debt, consolidate your second mortgage, personal loans, and car loans, and lower your payments by $600 every month. Best of all, there are absolutely no upfront out-of-pocket costs with this loan. And even if you have credit concerns, give us a call. The VA has granted New Day automatic authority to make our own approval decisions. When lenders say no to a veteran, New Day can say yes.
Call 1-417-335.
Doesn't discriminate. It doesn't pick and choose. When there's so much to fight against, love fights for. When others flee, love runs toward. And when darkness prevails, love remembers its strength. For 156 years, the Salvation Army has loved all who feel lost. With your help, we'll never stop.
Luxury, exemplified. Innovation, electrified. With avenues seamlessly integrated. The all-new, all-electric EQS SUV for Mercedes-Benz. Hi, I'm attorney Don McCarthy. Proud parents who help raise their family today. By now, I'm sure you've heard news about campers and a new law which allows victims to file for compensation. This is different than veterans' disability claim. There's a lot of confusing information out there, so I put together a dedicated team to answer your questions and to take your calls. Call 800-800-2088. That's 800-800-2088. Call right now.
I'm a performing artist, so
Flat on the policy. You are floor to ceiling. Eat
all fresh. I want my dog to have a healthy and long life. Mom's dog helps that out.
See the benefit of fresh food at betterforthem.com. At Simply Safe, we designed the #1 rated home security system powered by 24/7 professional monitoring for half the cost of traditional home security. So you stay safe for less than $1 a day. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Celebrate his marriage every month with Fox News Media. Intel role models his national achievements impacted the nation. Part of America.
It's so nice you guys can stop by.
Your floors are amazing. We really need new floors, but the kids and the dog
scratch resistant from all flooring.
Gary's so tight with the budget.
It's actually a lot less than we thought.
It's time to love your floors.
So we got a stick in here, my little den. And there he is. There's Jimmy. Okay, I'm back. Got my sunglasses on. Put those down so I can see what's going on. So you can, everything seems to be in good shape. The signal is perfect. They really these companies, you know, they really develop some wonderful equipment. Of course, this, you know, why buy something for $150 when you can spend $200 and get the same thing that the networks use? You know, for an extra 10%, why buy the cheap crap? So I've always gotten, you know, the best stuff. I don't have a lot of stuff, but you know, microphones are important. You got to pick up the sound, and yeah, so that, you know, like Jimmy with the sunglasses. Yep, this is how I walk around the corridors of this building in my sunglasses. I tell you what, the corridor lights, I don't know what the code requirements are, but when I walk out of my apartment, 812, in Royal Palm Plaza, which is a marvelous building, and walk down the hallways, it's so bright, you actually need sunglasses to get out of the corridors. I mean, it's just incredibly bright. You know, you like to unscrew every other bulb, but of course the bulbs don't screw on and off as you would normally think. So this is the same microphone that would be stuck on this, you know, that I wire in here. So I would take this off, put it on here, and then use slider number 1. I would rather not. I could do that. I would just be handheld, you know, for the duration. That's the day. September 30, Friday. It's Friday. Marilyn will be going in an hour to her Rotary luncheon. And I've already forgotten where that is. It's moved around a little bit because of this hurricane. And believe me, I'm not complaining because we have relatives in Fort Myers, and old Bob was missing for half a day. I actually put him on the list for the Florida governor's office to go looking for him. This guy, his cell phone got damaged or something or other. It's alive and well now, so we know where Bob is. Amazing. So he's back online. But, you know, we have this thing called Find Friends. And, you know, you send an invitation to a friend or relative, and then they, you know, say yes or no. And if they say yes, then they check a box, something like that. And then I can see them because of the ping of the cell towers. And I can see where they are. You know, I mean, I can't see, you know, inside their shirt pocket. I could see them on a map. And of course they can see me on a map, which, you know, they're relatives or friends, close friends. So I want them to be able to see me. So, you know, all my children, they each have, you know, Brennan went offline. I got to figure out how to get him back online. He doesn't want to. He plays. He's like paranoid for I Spy. Like what am I going to do? All I do is send money. So if I can't see him, I can't send money. I said no man, no fun, your son. Too bad, so sad, you're dead. That's anyway. So Sennheiser is working beautifully. We can work remote audio. This thing, I can go down the elevator and go out on the streets of Boca Raton, and you can hear me alive and well on live broadcast, Facebook. I can interview people in the street or whatever you do. You wouldn't get any video because I don't have remote video. But I can figure that out. Maybe that'll be my next chore is to be able to put a third camera in here that has remote video. That's not all pixelated. All right, so we'll try and figure that out. And I hope you are all safe. We're all safe. I got kids at work, and I'm trying to make broker fees. Everyone's trying to do something, right? We have elections coming up in 4 weeks. For people, you can see over here, they're actually helicoptering out because the people that survived Captiva and the highways are completely washed off. They can't get out. So the only way to get them out is by helicopter. So the state of Florida's got 4 or 5 helicopters flying around, lifting people out of wherever they are to safety, while the government basically reconditions the surface conditions where they can that Captiva bridge is gone. The part that's over the water is fine, with all those pilings. They haven't tested them out, but the water the waves are crashing up against those. The part that needs to be replaced is like the pavement that's on the ground, which of course in that kind of environment is basically compacted sand. So when you have this storm surge, boom, that's the end of the highway. It's just when people don't understand, the surge is just that. When the front side of that storm, it pushes a huge, and it's circulating in a counterclockwise. It formed like a wedge because it came up at an angle, like a 30-degree angle. It didn't come straight in, like when Katrina hit, Mississippi. It came in at an angle, and it was about a 30-degree angle to the coastline. So that 30-degree angle created a wedge and trapped, an unbelievable, the storm surge was, 14 feet. So that's, 14, that's a 14-foot high wall of water. So that basically lifted all these boats, any boats that were in a marina, lifted them completely above, any curbing, boating, docking, moorings. You got it. You got these, 50-ton boats, literally 50-ton boats That's a lot of weight. That's 2,000 pounds, right? 2,200 pounds per ton. So we can do our calculator here. And 2,200 pounds in a ton times 50 equals 110,000 pounds. It's a lot of pounds, 100,000 pounds. And there were others, you know, they interviewed this one marina fellow whose marina is like, you know, destroyed. And these boats are all totaled out. So whatever insurance they had pays, that's the end of the boats. So insurance adjusters are, you know, they're getting out their wallets, and, you know, the insurance companies, I sat on the board of an insurance company for a number of years, like 8 or 10, something like that, 10, 11 years. And insurance companies love to collect those premiums. They do not like to pay claims, but they do. You know, they're contractually required to pay claims, but that's not high on their list of things to do. They'd rather not pay claims. But that's the nature of that business. So that's why you have actuaries that determine what's the likelihood of, you know, all those boats that were in Fort Myers are pretty much totaled. There's a lot of houses that are totaled. A lot of marinas that are totaled. So, you know, that's the nature of that beast. So that's what's going on in the state of Florida. There, you know, I'm not going to go over what that's doing. The stock market is basically neutral today. It's up 10, which is 0.05%. So it's 29,241. So it's down lots of thousands, you know, from when this new president has taken over. National gas price average is, you may be able to see through this. Get this stupid thing out of the way. See on the screen here. California, $6.29. National average is like $5.79. And now, right after this, you know, the Biden administration. How do you like that? Biden. You got that bite sound, yeah. The Biden administration is pumping 1 million barrels. It's 55 gallons in a barrel, roughly. A 55-gallon drum barrel. So when they say a barrel, that's what they mean. That's 55 gallons. Well, you multiply that by 1 million, that's 55 million. So they are pumping out of the reserve, which is underground, 55 million gallons every day. And guess what? They're selling it to China. That's Biden's idea of, you know, the green society where you're not poisoning the air. Well, we'll sell it to China, let them poison the air. At least we're not poisoning it. You know, I mean, these guys are such phonies. Yeah. We should be drilling. We should be shaling. We should be doing everything that our good country can do. We're walking on, we have the largest reserves in the world right here. And we could be, you know, I mean, Trump had us totally energy independent. You know, you can take Iran, you can take your oil and stick it where the sun don't shine. Because we got enough of our own oil. And matter of fact, Saudi Arabia has been whining at us for years. Hey, Stop buying our oil. Go pump your own. Now we have a 200-year supply, and of course I don't know what it is about Democratic administrations where they like us to be dependent on people that hate us. Yeah, my mother had an expression: the have-nots, which is a lot of the world, people that have not anything. The have-nots hate the haves. Those who have things, the have-nots want what the haves have, and that's my mother. You know, born and raised in basically Brooklyn, New York. Can you imagine Brooklyn, New York? Oh, there's so many amazing people around the world today, particularly in the USA. Including Trump, by the way. He grew up about 11 streets. He was in Jamaica Estates. I grew up in, Jamaica. My parents, my parents were, basically raised in Jamaica, Queens. My mother was valedictorian of Jamaica High School. We know valedictorian means she was the #1 highest scoring student in all of Jamaica High School, and there were like 2,500 students in Jamaica High School at the time. And she was the #1 student. My mother, one sharp cookie. She's not with us any longer. She's watching over us. But I used to love to, as an adult, as a 35-year-old, let's say. I'm a little bit older than that now. But when I was a 35-year-old, I loved to talk about, the world and politics and, finances and so forth. She was a licensed real estate person. I became a licensed real estate broker. She made a killing selling real estate. She made a lot of money selling real estate in Wellington before Wellington was a Wellington. This is West Palm Beach, basically. She had to drive a Jeep. This is my mother with all her jewelry and crap. She rides around, in a Jeep, and she swung that Jeep around, Oh my God. And so she'd drive all these people around to show them this site, and then she'd bring them back in, sign them up, and they'd buy these lots for $25,000 a copy, I think. I mean, some people would come in there with a briefcase full of cash, and they'd buy a whole cul-de-sac, the whole street, all the way up and down. 10 lots down this way, 10 lots down that way, and 3 lots in the middle, right, for the cul-de-sac itself. So that's roughly 8. 8 and 8 is 16 plus 4. So let's say 20 lots. So she had a number of people that would buy a 20-lot scenario, which included a cul-de-sac. And, their entire family, each one, brothers, cousins, uncles, they'd each have a house. So they'd all move in, and it's like having a compound. And they'd put wow, look at that. That is just total destruction. They'd put like monuments in the front of the street of this cul-de-sac street. And, like they do in Italy and, France and Germany. It's, South America. It's done all over the world. These, the wealthy families would have their compounds and their entire family and, their brothers, sisters, cousins, and uncles, and whatever, and related family. They'd all have separate quarters. In this case, complete houses at 200,000 a copy. So I remember, when I was in the banking world, not that long ago, I'd have my best clients that bought lots like I'm speaking of. They'd say, "Okay, we've got a budget of about 300,000 per house. We want to build 5 of them right now." So about half the lots, or whatever, a third of the lots. So it'd be 5. It'd be $1.5 million worth of housing, and the wood would show up and this and that. And I was the construction manager, so I would go out every couple of weeks, literally every 2 weeks. If you get this every month business, that's too long. So now they had their own construction management people on site, and Jimmy. So I would be there, and yeah, there's you can hear the crowds applauding. So, yeah, that's what I did. I financed that. I financed and watched over, construction managed very important people in Central and South America. Pietro Iade was one of my clients. IADE. Pietro Iade. Mr. Wilson, how are you today? Such a gentleman. He'd come into town with his entourage, and we'd have a private lunch at the Charade or the Crepe Saint Michel. We get a private table, and we'd sit there and talk about, they'd want to know what I thought about what's going on with the U.S. economy. So I had to be aware of what's going on in the U.S. economy, which I am. As you can see in this little setup, I got 4 screens that tells me what's going on in the world. And they could be, I don't have this one on a screen because you'll see this will go blank. They have rules. See, here's the national report. This is Newsmax. Now watch, when I get that going, I think it'll go blank. I think it will show black. We'll see. Newsmax. Come on, baby. No. It won't, yeah, it doesn't. They put blockage. You know why? Because they don't want guys like me rebroadcasting their content. It's as simple as that. This is all the live TV that's available to Jimmy, but nothing is available when I'm connected. Now if I go offline, then this will show up. But not under the present circumstances. So, all right, so I can bomb that. See, then this comes alive and well. Let's see what's going on with 9 to 5. Apple Music. 2 new 2-factor authentication F2FA at all these websites. There you go. I tried to answer a call on my watch and it wouldn't answer. So it's a Series 8 watch. And I thought it was all set up, so I may have to call AT&T, which is, to get through to a person. And then, of course, it's Russian roulette to see if you can get to a person that's not from the Philippines. Because AT&T, I mean, they're very nice people, the Filipinos. And some of them, well, they're all really smart. The Asian minds with their perfectly cylindrical craniums, their brains are, I mean, literally, their brains are perfectly fitted within their skull. The white people, as opposed to the Asian people, like Jimmy himself, I have like a double bulb skull here if I feel around. I got this ball right here, and then I got this ball in front. So, but the Western white Germans, Germanic, Americans, whatever, our skulls are not perfect. I wrote an article about this a long time ago when I was a pre-med student, and I did a study about rote intellectualism based on people from the different continents around the world, the 5 continents. And I was enamored to carefully study the Asian folks, and the Chinese and the Indonesians and so forth, and the Filipinos. You can go through jurisdiction by jurisdiction, but I didn't do that. I just basically took the Asian population as a whole and studied their skulls to the extent I could handle the Asian skull. And if you examine an Asian skull with, technology, X-ray and so forth, the skulls are very spherical. I mean, you blow up a balloon and put it inside the skull, it fits perfectly. Whereas the Germanic people, like in, Europe, Germany, so forth, Italians, French, Americans, our skulls are not perfectly cylindrical. So it makes for an uncomfortable arrangement for the brain to function in a skull that is not spherical. Because the bulbous, not the spinal cord and all that, but the basic part of the brain likes to be in a spherical environment, not an oblong environment. So when the brain is squeezed into an oblong case, because the brain, the skull is like 1/4-inch bone all the way around. When they do brain surgery, they cut through, literally with a chainsaw, to get carefully to get to the brain. Anyway. So Chinese heads, if you wonder why all these Asian folks do so well in school and, win, the Indian people the same way, very spherical skulls. You walk around town and you see your Asian friends, and if they let you massage their heads, they're as spherical as they can be. And their brains are very comfortably resting inside a perfectly circle, a volumetric circle, spherical. And of course, the dramatic craniums are not perfectly, spherical like a basketball, so to speak. The brains are not as comfortably seating, and if your head gets, pushed left or right, or you fall down and your head hits the pavement or whatever, since your head is not in a chamber that is a perfect spherical, it gets injured, and people that have head injuries, the dramatics, don't do well with head injuries. Whereas the Asian community does better on head injuries. They tend to be able to survive them better. Anyway, so that's my story on that. So I wrote a paper about that, and it was very obvious from my writing and my research that perfectly spherical craniums provide for a very comfortable environment for the human brain. But because of breeding, mixing of races and so forth, we end up with a cockamamie-shaped head, which is characteristic of the Germanic people. Anyway, so that was quite a paper. It raised quite a stir in the academic community that was interested in reading what Jimmy had to write, which is, both of them. Anyway, that was fun. I did well in the academic world. I like the academic world. I had a program to go directly to PhD, and I had to stay at school for 2 more years, and I would have been a PhD in biochemistry, probably. If I had my druthers, I would have done that. And there's a little speckle on there, all right? Sorry for that noise. So that was. Oh, better put this on. Hold on a second. There we go. Now I can hear myself. Okay, that's better. I'm hearing donations. Yeah. Anyway, so I had a direct to PhD program. FAU, one of their department heads, offered me a direct to PhD program at FAU 10, 15 years ago. Should have done that. Because then you can teach. You can teach anywhere if you have your doctorate degree. So then it would be Dr. Jim. Dr. Wilson. Now, when I was teaching at FAU, they used to call me Professor Wilson, which I was, was kind of embarrassed to be introduced as Professor Wilson, but that's what they do in academia. When the College of Business actually had me sign up to teach my Principles of Digital Photography, which was a very popular class at FAU, is well attended by your adult community. And I taught them all about digital processing, with Photoshop Express, using iPhones and iPads. There was a version of it for Windows, but, Windows, I was a 25-year Windows guy. because that's all there was on a PC, essentially. I mean, there were other platforms, I think is the proper word, for computer technology. Linux was one, is one, but Windows was for the masses of people, but it was terrible. It was very flaky, what I would call flaky, and you'd have it on the computer, and it would just so many. You had to load this thing and load that every time. Yeah, every time you turn on, it had to load this and load that, and download. It's constantly downloading something. Mac, no such problem. The thing is solid as a stone. I tell you, it is the most stable environment. The Mac operating system is no one screws around with it. There are no viruses. At least I haven't caught any yet. And yeah, it's amazing. And people buy these. I guess this maybe they're this is basically a $2,000 fella. Why pay $1,600 and get a Windows computer that sucks? What, you can pay $400 more and get a Mac? You can get, there are inexpensive Macs. They have MacBook Air and all that stuff, for $1,100. This happens to be a MacBook Pro, a 16-inch screen, which is magnificent screen. Let's see. When you have these, yep, see this, and that is a full, so you can see exactly what's going on here in beautiful color, and you can read along with this. This is where I get my news from. I get it from this iPad, 12-inch iPad Pro. Always get the Pro, and this right here, Flipboard. Whoops, there's a pair of legs. Let's see, candid moments, photographers, capture. Here's some secrets of photography. See, that's what I taught, and I used to take pictures like this on the floor of the basketball or whatever, and so here's, I can push this tab right here, and these are all Tesla stories. As you know, we have a Model Y, which Marilyn has drove up to work with today. Sometimes I drive her to work, so I keep the car. Today she needs the car because she's going to be going to lunch with her Rotary friends, which is an important organization, of business leadership. Okay. All right. Tesla owner refuses to pay. Whoops. Sorry, I pulled out the wrong thing. Tesla owner refuses to pay $200 for a new battery. Gets locked out of his car. These cars are all like, I have to read this story. We'll pull it up from here. Oh my goodness. Okay, a Tesla owner has seen his TikTok video about his car's apparent shortcomings. He got locked out of his Model S after his battery died. Oh, ouch. And the battery replacement is $21,000 to replace it. And guess what? If you don't want to replace it, they turn off your car. They can do it remotely because every car is connected to Fremont, California. He paid $140,000 for the car brand new in 2013. All right, that's a while ago. And according to Elon Musk, the battery in these cars is designed to go 300 to 500,000 miles. about 21 years worth. But it died in 77,000 miles. And the question is why? He got a high voltage so this guy took his, after Tesla gave him a high voltage battery warning message. Ooh, what could that mean? He asked for a warranty replacement, and Tesla refused, leaving him with the option of paying $21,000 or Tesla turns off the car. You know, we didn't, we're leasing the car, which is the most efficient way to drive a car. I mean, after all we want to do is be able to drive the car. I don't care about, who cares where the title certificate sits? You drive a car for 3 years, whoosh, turn it in and get another one. You take care of everything. And by the way, I got to make a service appointment because I haven't done that. There's no bells and whistles that came on since it's time to go to service. So we're very low mileage. But so we're still going to go in there anyway. And I'm going to make an appointment for next, soon, however soon it is. And, let them do what they got to do. And hopefully I don't get hit with an $11,000 battery charge. I understand when you take your car in, for your, what do you call it, service, it'll cost you about $600. But it's one of those things you gotta take care of this exciting equipment. So I'm going to make a service appointment. Fix up my Tesla. So, both of us. One of these should be Jimmy by himself. There he is. The last command 0 is Jimmy by himself. You got to get a better view of these screens. Wow, look how bright that screen is. Let's turn them down a little bit. Oh yeah, it is too bright. Oh, I still have my sunglasses on. Yeah, that's cute. Okay. Let's get rid of that. There we go. So now you can see Jim Jordan, a Republican from Ohio, congressman. He's agitated about something. You can hear the echo.
Something they're going to say that, it's not. But that's what it appears to the American people to be. That's certainly what it appears to us and our lawyers to be.
I'm curious, and I know that you probably can't talk about this in detail right now, but two things. One would be
got some. You can hear the echo in the congressional chambers there. It's very interesting. Our daughter Robin was very active in the U.S. government, as an employee of Congressman Clay Shaw and sat right. And there was 2 beautiful young ladies that sat right inside the front door of Clay Shaw's office. And then when you walked in Clay's office, you had this big window, and it was probably 6 foot by 8 foot, huge piece of glass, and in the Hart office building, the Hart Congressional Office Building, and his desk. So his credential, you turn around and look at his credential, and you see the Capitol building is right picture framed in the middle of the glass. I mean, it was a spectacular. I've got some photographs of that. It's just, it's just unbelievable. But Clay Shaw was a very high-ranking person in the committee that manages money, the appropriations committees. And if the Republicans get control, this is pretty cool now, you didn't pay attention. If the Republicans get control of Congress, guess what happens to the 67,000 employees that will not be hired at the IRS? Guess why? Because the Appropriations Committee, which Clay Shaw used to be, the ranking member of, will not pay. Even though there is a law that makes it so that they could hire 60,000 employees, they are not going to appropriate the funds for them to do that. So that's that's what's going to happen. Unbelievable. So don't have to worry about those 60,000. And instead they should hire 60,000 people, border agents, and spend the $4 or $5 million, whatever it costs, to finish the wall, which is a 30-foot high, concrete reinforced steel beam wall, which is very difficult to climb over. It would take you so long to climb over. By that time, a Border Patrol agent will be sitting there on the other side saying, "Hey, ¿qué pasa, chico?" And they jump back over the wall, go back to Mexico, stay in Mexico. So what the wall accomplishes is there are, several openings in the principal cities, and it has gates. So what it does is it funnels these people into like 10 different, I'm making up that number, I don't know how many gate entry positions there are. So it's like a funnel, so everybody comes through, a certain point. And they're not running all over the place. Right now they're running all over. They call them gotaways. And we know that 2 million came in through the turnstiles, so to speak. I mean, they literally walk across the border, and they're right there, in the country. So when they go through the turnstile, I'm making that up, they just walk through. But when they get processed, a few of them get sent back to Mexico. Some of them go to jail because they're, criminals, armed, maybe unarmed criminals that are on our criminal list. And then, but 2 million of them have come through and have been bussed all over the country, or flown all over the country. So when the Texas governor buses, I think there are 40 that fit in a bus, and then the U.S. administration whines and complains, or the media complains, oh, how can they do that? I mean, the Biden administration, Biden administration has been busing, illegals all over the country, undocumented, whatever you want to call them. They're illegal aliens. And that's what they are. And of course, they're after the governor of Texas, and of course, they're after DeSantis, our able-bodied governor, who actually took 2 plane loads and 2 private chartered jets. And the governor of Florida flew 2 jet loads, which is probably 40 or 50, illegal aliens, and dropped them off at Martha's Vineyard, right in the bed of the belly of the liberal Martha's Vineyard. Can you imagine? And poisoned, their beaches, and with this these illegal people, get them away from me. Yep, that's what the high-priced liberals say. They don't want them anywhere near their little place. It's okay for them to be in your neighborhood, but they don't want them in their neighborhood. And Governor DeSantis basically pulled the pants down right to their belly button because it showed. I mean, they got the National Guard and they bust up. They took those people and they got them the hell out of Martha's Vineyard like you wouldn't believe. You know, the Kennedy families and all these fancy schmancies that have their $10 million summer homes, you know, on Martha's Vineyard, they got, you know, these dirty people that spit in the sand, you know. We need to get them off our beaches. And they did. They riled them up and sent them to Massachusetts, to Boston. So they're in a Boston, you know, God knows what they did with them. You know, just probably let them loose. Anyway, so if the Republicans can get some control, you know, in the next 2 years, or in November actually, and the Congress starts in January, so whatever happens in November doesn't start until January with the 110th Congress or whatever. I don't know what the number is, but that swearing in is somewhere in the, you know, in mid-January. And we're hoping that Republicans get off their couches and go vote, and vote for the conservative tickets all over the country so that we can have a very sizable majority in Congress and pick up, you know, 3 or 4 Senate seats. So that's not teeter-tottering on, you know, being too close to get stuff passed. And then, you know, the next couple of years would be pretty good. Or the next, you know, the next year would be really good as far as, you know, tightening up all this stuff like immigration. And anytime the Democrats say comprehensive, you know, yeah, you know what that means? Nothing gets done. Because comprehensive means they add everything but the kitchen sink, and no one can, you know, no group could agree to it because, you know, these people don't like this and those people don't like that. You know, you need to pass these items one thing at a time. But the liberals don't want to do that because they want this political football. They don't really want to fix the problem. They want to use all these illegals as bait, you know, for the next election cycle, which is, you know, I think the American people are getting too smart for that, but we'll see. We'll see with this election how smart the American public is. Because after all, our government is elected, Congress is elected every 2 years. And the American people have choices of what to do. And hopefully they choose, you know, smartly this time so that we can stop this illegal alien stuff. There's only so much, you know, we have 330 million people, we got 200 million taxpayers, and there's only just so much, you know, that we can absorb and pay. Because, you know, these people that come, you know, we're a charitable, you know, group. We don't take them and put them in prison. No, we clean them up and put them in school and, you know, trying to train them so they could, you know, be better for whatever employment situation they want. A lot of them, you know, pick vegetables, which is fine. They like, you know, that's part of what they were doing where they came from, perhaps. If they want to be trained into doing something else, you know, we'll do that. We'll do whatever they want. That's what makes this a very popular place to be. But you're supposed to come in the right way. And we got 2 million that didn't come in the right way. 2 million, can you imagine, in 18 months? That's disgusting. We don't even know who they are or where they are. You know what? You all know what it's like to get your kid into elementary school. They have to. You got to show them this vaccination and that vaccination card. There's 5 or 6 different vaccinations. Your kids have to have, or else they can't get into first grade. Okay. Well, you got 2 million people that just came in from God knows where, 100, according to the Border Patrol people, from 150 different countries, and I don't think they had their vaccination cards with them. They haven't been vaccinated for anything, so they're bringing in all kinds of disease. They're not all sick, but out of 2 million, there's probably 200,000, that have plague. They've got all these diseases that we've got under control, polio. It's going to become mixed in because we're going to let them in our schools. They're not going to be properly, vetted with vaccinations, and because that would be discriminatory to you have to have a vaccination. Like, well, God damn it, you got to do that to get my kid in first grade. What's that? That's not, you know, being prejudiced against any particular group. Everybody has to have, their polio shots and this and that, whatever the shots are, that our medical society has decided is safe to enter the first grade. But these illegals, just let them in. And they're going to mix in our communities and basically poison our society with diseases we haven't seen, in 100 years. So you don't hear that discussed on the networks. But as a pre-med student, I was a pre-med student, not that I run around with a little black bag, but this is not rocket science. It's pretty simple stuff. Every parent that has a kid in school had to prove that their little darling had all these facts. I know Maryland had run around like crazy trying to make sure these kids had all their proper vaccinations. Now, we kept up with it. So it's just a matter of proving to the admissions office of the first grade, that they were properly vaccinated, or else they couldn't get in school. And we're citizens, right? Born and raised, wherever. Oh, God, crazy. All right, so with that, we've been on air for 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 38 seconds, and I think we're, gonna, call it a day. So you all have a good day. It is Friday. I have some of my Jimmy special tomato sauce, which I took a pint of that out of the freezer, and I made some of those squiggly pastas, whatever you call those, again, and cooked them like a little al dente, and swooped them double box, 2 boxes worth, in a pot, a full 8 quarts of boiling water. Boil them up for 11 minutes, and then put them in a big stainless steel strainer, a polished stainless steel strainer as opposed to a screen, which tends to hurt the pasta when you toss it. When it's in the screen like rubs, against the pasta. It makes the pasta, it makes it kind of nasty on the outside edges. So you put it in a polished stainless steel sieve. You got, the stainless steel basket where you got holes drilled, little holes, and they're all polished and buffed, so it will not hurt the pasta. And then you toss it, which I did, and then I put it back in the pot. Oh, and then I have a pot of cold water, just tap water. So instead of, putting water with the faucet over the pasta, I have a big pot of water. Hello. Yeah. Have a big pot of water over here, Now I got the boiling pot of water here, so I pour that into the sieve. Empty pot goes back over there. Now I have so this is all hot pasta. So I got to cool that off, or it's going to get all sticky together, or it's going to overcook. So I take this 8 quarts of tap water, which is like room temperature, and dump it all over this pasta. And when you throw 8 quarts of cool water on top of the pasta, that is plenty. Then you stick your finger in there. The pasta is about 90 degrees. I have an accurate thermometer, but you can stick your finger in there and it's not hot anymore. And then I take the pasta, throw it back in the original pot that has a melted 1 stick of butter, and toss the pasta with the 1 stick of melted butter, which is a quarter cup of the best butter, salted butter, and then toss it. And now you're done with your pasta. It's at room temperature. It's been tossed with the butter, so pure butter. Now the pasta will be safe. It won't stick to itself. And you toss it, and then you refrigerate it. And anyway, I have that in the pot with a lid on it so it doesn't dry out in the refrigerator. And now it's 11:43, so I'm gonna, get off the wire here. Let you guys have, a pleasant lunch, and I'm going to have that pasta up, in a mug, and I'm gonna put a half a pint of my world's famous spaghetti sauce on there. Toss it up, throw it in the microwave for 3 minutes, and it will be brought up to about 145 degrees, tossed, and that is the perfect eating temperature, 145, which will then cool to about 138 when you're actually eating it. 145 is where you want it to be when it's out of the microwave. If it's hotter than that, it'll be cooking the pasta. Then you can't eat it. Anything over 147, your mouth feels like it's burning. Like coffee can't be hotter than 147 degrees. And you blow on it so that it brings it down to about 142. And then you can sip it and everything is copacetic. Gets down into the 130s and say, darling, my coffee's cold. I have one of those over there. Actually, let me grab this. This is a little bit of coffee. I actually brew my coffee in this small 16-ounce thermos. So I can fit, it's a 12-ounce brew on the automatic coffee cup thingy. And that leaves me 4 ounces of room for half and half, which is 4% milk. When I was a kid, milk was 4%. Today it's half and half. So everything I buy is 4%, because that's what we used to grow up on a farm, actually. So milk came out of the cow at about 8%. Now we shake that milk down to 4%, and that's milk. Back 35 years ago, milk was 4%. And then you had people that invented skim milk, and that was 3%, or now 2%, and now they have 1%. And they have fat-free milk. Well, that's do you ever see? It looks like milk that's been watered down to. Why bother? Don't drink it. Or drink less of it. Anyway, skim milk never was in our households, either when I was a kid or our kids were kids. Uh, no skim milk. The milk proteins and the calcium that's associated with milk is a wonderful addition. So I drink, 4 to 8 ounces of 4% milk almost every day. If I have 2 cups of coffee, I've got 8 ounces of milk because it's 4 plus 4. And that, helps your bones and all that kind of stuff. Now, we take all kinds of supplements. We don't actually take a calcium supplement, though. So we do want to order our coffee with milk. Marilyn drinks it black. So I haven't figured out how to get milk. The best way to get milk in Maryland is ice cream. Real ice cream. Not diet ice cream. I don't no diet drinks either, by the way, since I'm talking over my, I'm going overtime here, but don't drink diet soda. Drink soda with all the sugar in it, or don't drink soda at all, that's fine. That's probably the most healthy thing to do. But if you are going to have a carbonated beverage, make it a regular drink, not a diet drink, because all those poisons in this artificial sugar stuff, it goes into you. You wonder why you have cancer of this and cancer of that, because you put all this crap in your system. Don't drink any diets, anything. And that includes any kind of food, with artificial sugar. You want to have all the sugar. Eat natural sugar. It's your system can handle it. It's always a matter of quantity. So cut down your quantity. Don't screw up the quality. All right? That's our words for the day. And with that, can you imagine when I was a banker? I used to drive my people crazy because I would talk and talk until they took the microphone away. All right, Fox is going on break. You see up here. I can't have those kinds of things on this one because this one is connected with the red wire, and this red wire goes around behind here and comes up here and ends up right there. That's I can get news, but I cannot. I can't deal with that TV channel on this one. It goes blank. It's my software program. ECam Live will not permit broadcast TV to be rebroadcasted. I can see with a video camera. You hear that? There you go. Yeah. There we go. Look at that. It's a Chinook chopper. They're trying to lift people out of there because you can't drive. So, they're getting all these people are wearing down, and they're taking out the most serious, elderly people or people that need insulin that, don't have an insulin anymore, and they can't go get it, and they weren't smart enough to stock up on it. And insulin, I think, needs to be refrigerated. And if they don't have backup refrigeration, chillers, ice coolers with ice in it, their insulin goes sour, and of course then you can't inject it in your body, which helps your body essentially process sugar. So if you need insulin, you end up hyperglycemic, and you're oversugared. Insulin makes the process of sugar. So far, I don't seem to have, last I took my A1C was like 11. It's terrible. But I think it was a problem with the blood test. How does your A1C go from 6.7 to 11? you know, all of a sudden. How's that happen? Did my kidney fall off? Or my pituitary glands? All right, so we're going to say goodnight. We are on air 1 hour and 25 minutes exactly, and we're done. Goodbye. Have a nice weekend.